Um, that is true, Mama. We are universal tour guides. Absolutely. It's no different than an archetype, typecast, hypertext task modality. What's your task modality when you're a little kid? Pick a role. You want to be in a movie? What part do you want to play? Oh, really? Can I play all the parts? Oh, you want your energy to be in everything, experiencing everything in the whole movie. Yeah, I want to experience all the character types, which are the character maps, right? Experience all the maps, experience all the characters that are in the map grid. Glad to meet you. Where are you from? Remember, they used to say, what floats your boat? Water does. Water worlds. I know. It's, wear a different hat a different day, right? You want to be a pole climber for a day? Or you want to go be a lumberjack for a month? Right? That just notified me I'm in airplane mode. Oh, airplanes, the planes of the air. Okay, two brides through the air. So yeah, being a universal tour guide. Over here we have the casting set, we have the wardrobe department, right? What would you like to be? You can be in a play if you want to be a play. What would you like to be? The court jester? You want to be the king? You want to be the queen? You want to be the Red Queen? You want to be the court jester? How about one of the religious priests that's always speaking to the king, the Game of Thrones, right? And I mean, this is how this game is played. You can scale it up to whatever time period you want based on the costumes that we're all wearing. Coming to a masquerade party. That's what it is. So all the world's a stage. The universe is a stage. That's a creative musical artist. That's what a poet is, right? You want to be a poet? Write poems. You love to write poems? How long you want to write poems for? I've been writing poems my whole life. That's going with the flow of the music. The way that those poems are naturally being experienced because they flow so beautifully through the field, right? And so you're following the flow. You're in the form of the flow, which is the flow of that music. And so you're on fire to experience everything because everything is so beautiful to experience because that's the energy you're experiencing it with. It's the music that you're playing, which is what love is. So you want to go be a baseball player for a year? How about an NBA ball player for 4 years? How about a day if they let you come out on the court and play with them for a day? Just like kids. Hey, you want to go shoot some hoops? Yeah, let's go play, right? And then when we're done playing, we had a lot of fun. See ya. So you see how things that are fun to us get commoditized. Oh, they like this. We're gonna market what these children love to do, and then we're gonna sell it back to them. They can even be a part. You want to put a uniform on and be on this stage? We'll pay you big bucks. Shut up and dribble. You mean all I got to do is dribble a basketball, and you're willing to pay me $200 million a year? And all I got to do is dribble a basketball and put it in a hoop? My God. Sure, I'll get really good at that. Right. Well, where are these electrons coming from, by the way? Did anybody ever tell you that? There's an unlimited supply of electrons. Give them everything. What more do you need? Money can't buy you love. We know that. Love is what heals us. That's exactly right. Love is what heals us. We all know that. That's what heals the heart and the soul. That's why one of the things I've been monitoring and looking at over time is how long it was going to take. You know how it is when people speak the same language, but you know what it is with blended realities. In other words, And I mean no dishonor, disrespect to spiritual knowledge, obviously, because everything that I've learned to become what I am goes back to my teachers as an eternal blessing, eternal gratefulness, eternal gratitude, because of the pathway that you choose to learn through. So that means you got to know who to pick as your guides, right? So when I was a little kid, I just said, let's cut to the chase. I want to be the first guide. I want to be with the first tour guide. I want to be with the grand creator, the first spark of life. Let's just cut right to the chase, so I don't have to go through a million different schools, right? Trying to find my way around the universe. I want to be with the grand tour, the grand tourist guide, the grand spiritual guide. So that way, wherever the eternal one is, eternal spirit of fire is, I am. Wow, so wherever you find love and living spirit, you'll find us. That is absolutely true. You'll find us in the purest of light. And there is no better company to be in, because you don't ever want to leave that once you've experienced that. Dolores is true. What she said is absolutely correct. So it's like being neuron messengers from the first neuron, the eternal spark of consciousness. The first network built the first tree trunk, right? Tree networks. So you want to be a server or an inverter? Chances are, if you want to be a server, you're going to have a lot more stuff flowing through you that you become aware of than those that are inverters going in the other direction. So you know where that goes. And that was why it's so painful for me here, as being a transmutation machine. Getting rid of everything that doesn't belong there, because it's not what the law is. So if we are what the law is, we know what's supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there, if we're really what the law is. And that's what it means to live in the highest honor, is to honor the highest code, the first code. Experiencing the first universal tour guide, guiding you along the way. So you're going to get immediate feedback when you've chosen to serve forever on behalf of the one. You will get immediate feedback if anything's wrong. Wrong, meaning this isn't what love is. So that's one standard, which is one metric. And so that's how it works. So that's what I honor. That's the highest honor code there is. And so we all know that. So now we're into, remember the Frank Capra stuff, why we fight, what we're fighting for. The number 4, fighting for this eternal spirit of fire. So I know this from experience, because of learning how to light yourself on fire, is it really is a measurement of breathing fire. How much fire you have in you is really a measurement of your shield, your crystal shield. There's no kidding about that. Because now your soul consciousness can't be trapped to experience things that represent unlawful intruders, right? Doing harm to others, which is obviously doing harm to themselves. Because it's not like that harm that is known, that is experienced, isn't recorded into a permanent record. Because it is. So the one knows. The one knows us all. That's why there's no secrets. Trust me, there is no secrets. That's why they hide things. They don't want this information getting out into the universe. Right? Oh my God, if they got their hands on that, you imagine what they do with that knowledge. Well, the highest intelligence in the universe, and I know this because I experienced this in me, which is the creative side that is on fire to create, so therefore it naturally accelerates to be the highest level of intelligence that already knows what's going on, because the one is not separated from anything else that the one is, which is eternity. So everything was within that is happening, that we can know what's going on, and the one will let us know what's going on through our heart and our soul. So when you know as a little child, I'm living through my heart and my soul, that means you're protecting your soul with your shield, which is your spiritual power, which is how much fire you got. right? So it's all about codes, formatting codes, map reading codes, numbers games. So you see, when she said you're in a video game, I'm kind of like, no shit, okay? With a joystick. You don't want to go fly a Navy combat aircraft carrier plane like my dad did? A joystick. That is a joystick. That is a gunship. An older model by many iterations of gazillions of years, actually. So they're like little play toys. Like, you remember the old diorama sets when I was a kid growing up? I built, my dad was into this kind of stuff, modeling stuff, making replicas of one movie set, and now we're going to make a replica of it, but a smaller scale. So now we're into scales. You know, so you see a little dinosaur that's 2 inches high, and then you see a dinosaur compared to the size that you're in on this movie set. Wow, that one's about 1,000 feet high. Make it whatever scale you want. You know, scales. I built a lot of model kits when I was a kid. You know, about scales, putting things together, nuts and bolts, you know, plugs and sockets, ignite the universe on fire, having the full spectrum, which is the full electromagnetic radiation waveform harmonic spectrum, which means it's all there for you to use, which means every frequency is available to you when you're a cosmic level antenna, right? Because you're in and out. It's just always there for you. When you've chosen to serve forever and light yourself on fire so that there's no mistake that the one realizes you really want to make this forever so that you never have to worry about who you're always with. Yeah, I don't want that. I slam that door behind me. Make it permanent. Permanent. Now they can't change you. And that is the most powerful spiritual ritual there is. And those in the spiritual community know that the most powerful magic is the most powerful spirit of fire. Nothing is more powerful than that. That's the language of fire letters. So they know that. So they speak a different language. But the line of communication is always open with the one, the first pillar of light, the first crystal star, the first cell. So when you're experiencing being a mononuclear or a single cell, then you know single cells became multicellular. And from that, a larger formation of cells began to accelerate at a very high rate of speed of consciousness that is in love with itself, because that's the music that it's playing, because that's what we experience, and that is the fastest accelerator, which is the fastest engine to learn from, is knowing one from the other. Because if you don't know one from the other, then somehow or other your line went down. That line of communication is no longer open as a result of terraforming, or if you will, what are known as teratogenic effects and mutagenic effects, so that communication corridor or that first line of communication is not being blocked. And having access to fill all the lines of communication up with what it all began with, which is like clogs, like needing Drano, which is like burning through memories, right? To go back a gazillion years, when was the last time you experienced the one, which is pure light, which is pure love? That, what's her name, did a really great, Ashia Dion did a really great, it was called The Plasma Seed. It's like, I don't copy, so I use my own words. It's like a title that says Unveiling the Plasma Seed. And I could feel her heart and soul, the way that you can go really deep into your heart. I know how to do this. It's very simple for me to do that. And it should be simple, really, for all of us to do that, because this is where you got a lot of different spiritual channels talking about, you know, the heart now, even other folks. Because when they realize how important the heart actually is, as to the shield and your heart and your soul and your connection to pink diamonds, if you will, which is what I am. Okay. I'm a pink diamond rose heart. So there is a big, if you will, I just keep it simple. I am one with all creation that I'm gifting love to, which is androgynous, but it simply means perfect balance. That's what it is. You know, there isn't any separation between the nuclear reaction states to become one with all creation. So you've chosen to serve on behalf of the one. And when that happens, bang, you just lit yourself on fire. The one knows you. You cannot fool the one. The one knows your heart and soul. And the one will experience your soul wanting to do that and make that commitment. And when that happens, it happens. And you'll get a full recalibration back to the beginning. And so you realize why we do that. That's called an identity recalibration, or if you will, remembering. It's like going out on a tether from home, being with the one, which means being in the purest of love, and then choosing, I'm going to go venture out into the universe with my universal tour guide. So the one is always with me. So it's like having a leash on life, a different kind of collar. I call it a life jacket or an anchor point. An anchor point, you know, just like ships have, right? They put an anchor so they don't ever lose that spot, which means we always know where home base is, right? Where home base is. And home base is through the heart, the powerful vortex, a light wheel, spinning data, spinning visuals, right? And so, yeah, it's one of the reasons I loved Disneyland as a little kid. That's another movie set, right? Jungle Cruise, remember the Jungle Cruise? All those guys that were scurrying up that tree. What was so beautiful about that is that they put in later, because I was there when they had just opened that park. I don't remember the year because it's not important to me. Maybe to you, but not to me. I just remember being there when it first opened up as a kid. And I remember how much I loved the Jungle Cruise ride, particularly when they put up another little ride that was called Swiss Family Treehouse. And the Swiss Family Treehouse was cool because I didn't know later, when I saw it there when I was a teenager in high school, that I was going to live in one like that. Now, it wasn't quite the same size. There were different ones that were in this little treehouse community, and I gave a map of that little tiny community, which is like a mini eco-village, where I had the opportunity, and actually it was a planned visit, because there are no coincidences why the folks that were there were some of the most powerful teachers I've ever known. Especially that young woman with her children. She was the first one that said to me when I came out of my treehouse wearing surfing trunks, "What are you ashamed of?" "I'm not ashamed of anything." "Then take your trunks off." Bang! That's how you came out of your mother's womb, right? Were you ashamed of yourself then? And remember when Kim Go-Goon said, "Forgive yourself," about guilt and shame. Because it's all programming. On a movie set. The role you want to play. Right? That's why you can go over to... now, I realize that there is a line in the sand, what we call perversion of self-indulgence and perversion of nature. I absolutely know what self-indulgence and perversion of nature is. There is always a line in the sand that you don't cross. That's always my advice, but it's up for other folks to decide through their learning journey, what's acceptable, not acceptable behavior. Or on a battlefield like this, it is not a beginner's course. I told that lady, Miss Broussard, that this was not a beginner's course in spiritual warfare, because this was for all the marbles, because this was the final dance, and I knew that. So I use different words to describe it. It means having your wits about you. You know, wits being highly self-organized, uh, and uh, and that really is your shield, your firewall. You know, just like in this house, I can see the difference because I have folks in this house that are using drugs, right? But I do every day. I put a bubble of love over this house, and for the time that I've been here, it's been relatively calm and peaceful. You know, um, but I've been there and done that with folks like that when I was a lot younger. So this video was more about love and joy instead of sorrow and pain and all that. But I am it's beautiful to experience everything that I'm experiencing right now. So that's what I do. I share that with others at the time that I'm experiencing it. But yeah, I will. I was. That was an unbelievable time to be there on that island at that window, because everything. You know how it is when you experience something. At least when I experienced it, I realized that experiencing the way that we would describe what it would be like to be in Eden, where probably number one on the hit parade is my energy's not being molested. That was the first thing I noticed. Wow, I landed on another planet. My energy's not being molested. We're all free as birds. We got the whole island to ourselves. Are you kidding me? It was like we were in a magic bubble together. Nothing was there to hurt us. Have all the fun you want to have. Explore the island. It was like being in another universe. But it didn't last for a very long time. It was a very tiny window. And when I was sitting out on a board one day looking towards my tree house and the other tree houses that were there and looking at the Poly Cliffs, I realized this is just a very short time frame, a window, like an n equals 0 window. This is a very special time, and it, as always, goes deep in my heart, and why I cried on that airplane when I left. Those kinds of experiences are timeless and transcendental because they are gifts that you really give to yourself, but they're the gifts that the universe gives back to you. And you see how majestic it is, or if you will, spectacular, on what artists do, music, what that you feel in your own heart and your soul, being with others that are profoundly beautiful to experience because the essence of their spirit tells you everything about the journey that they're on and where they came from and who their guides were, by how the light exposes everything that isn't what the truth is. And that is particularly when people find themselves having to be apologetic for the journey that they're on because they're not being directed or led by somebody else that thinks they know better than you do what your journey's supposed to be. That's the first thing I noticed as a child when it comes to rule-based functions, robotic behavior. Right? So you're scanning the field, much like in that movie with Terminator. You see all the data calculation running through the cyborg. Scanning the field, mapping the terrain, mapping the zone. What's here? And that's really what it is. So when you're a polarity integrator like me, it's a simple read, which means how much resistance is there in here, which is a capacitor for a motherboard to experience pure light through all these veins and arteries, right? Which means the roadmap, the grid map. So you realize if you're an electrician in the universe, you come out of the power company of the universe, or if you will, the founders, okay, then it's like coming in to turn the lights on, and so that becomes public notice. And it became public notice when the Guardians released all the materials. So a lot of this, what's happening that I see is like a mirage of visual information is coming from many sectors, right? Many different parsecs. And so now you got a lot of microphones going, right? Everybody's speaking up. Everybody's on the phone now, right? Hey, I'm here. And so you can see how units of consciousness or formations of consciousness begin to align themselves. And you begin to realize by simply looking at the visuals who's with who, right? And so one of the things that I know that was critically important, all that, was something Arshaya talked about, which was waves of indigos, right? And I simply map read that is using just a couple of math functions: the log scale, the exponent, the power index. When you're indexing libraries or memories or cellular memories, and you have a power index, right, which is an accelerator, right, of mathematical geometric form and flow of information, which is consciousness energy that is experiencing that in a grid map, which is our mirrors. But it's what we feel, what I feel on an emotional level, which is energy in motion, which is the powerful scalar waves, particularly in your gut, right? When you've experienced an enormous amount of trauma, or if you're facing a situation based on rule-based functions, right? And now you got a leash and collar around you, and they captured you like a dog catcher, and now you got to pay the man, right? So I knew as a child, it's like landing behind enemy-held lines, right? Just like the 101st Airborne, right, in Normandy, right? You're a radio operator, right? So you're Sparks. So you know that every company and platoon needs a radio operator, right? So what did the Germans have? What were those known as sappers? When they went from Germany into, what is it, over there in Belgium, and took out that fort, and take over a strong point. So communications is everything. So you know that the universe is a communication platform. So you want to be able to get through to the main fire station. Hey, God, come to the, we need you. Right? So you see how this works when communications lines go down. The line gets cut. Oh, man, my phone line just got cut. Uh-oh. Holy shit. Nobody's answering the phone. Whoops. Nobody's answering the phone. Like the phone, like pH. The pH phone? Oh no. We're talking acid and alkaline here. Acid batteries, alkaline batteries. Boy, the whole electromagnetic spectrum is up for grabs. Is that what we're saying here? That was exactly right. Remember, they announced it back in the 1980s, full spectrum dominance. Okay. That means your space is under total control. That was their message. So that's a spiritual battlefield. So you can see how things were heating up, and as things were heating up, just like I looked at a short little video today from the Voyagers of how, particularly over the period 2016, when I lit myself on fire, headed over here to the Big Island, and was able to pull an enormous amount of energy and grounded to this rock. And those are some of the most powerful experiences energetically on this rock that I've had in recent memory. And so that obviously is a great sign, but everything else that we know that's coming out through the Guardians materials it became, I have different ways that I describe what I become aware of, right? Through the one, the source from which it all began, my heart and my soul lets me know what's going on because I'll get the comps. I'll become aware of it because I'm supposed to become aware of it. So when I become aware of it, then I know it's true because I know where that transmission came from. Yeah, it is the unified field, unified consciousness. But you see how they use words and convolute it. So I try and do my best to keep it simple. Right? Eternal spirit of fire. That's what love is. It's on fire to give love away. So I perceive it through like a child I know this sounds cliche, like a child of God. You know, the children from the grand creator, the source from which it all began. Children, right? The first, and then the next one, and the next one after that, the next one after that, the next one after that, and the next one after that, all becomes part of the same non-separation from the one. Because that consciousness is eternal spirit of fire. It's on fire to give love away. And I know how gentle it feels and how nurturing it feels, where being in the presence of that without being aware of anything other than just that is like being inside of the most sacred temple, where you're experiencing the purest of light. And once you've experienced that, how deeply it's felt. It's a feeling. It's what you feel, your feelings. It's like you're not aware of anything other than that. It's impossible to be aware of anything other than that when you're in the presence of eternity. That rap, that feeling, the gentle feeling that you feel. You know how deeply you are loved and cared for. And it's like the first. I'm with the first. I'm with eternity. I'm in the temple of the most sacred heart. The heart of the universe, the heart of Adam's first cell. And the level of purity that you experience being in the presence of that, there are no words to describe it. There are no words in any language that I know that can describe how powerful those feelings are that you feel with your heart and your soul when you experience that. It is indescribable. You know, when some people would say, "Oh, they're speechless." I got nothing to say. There isn't anything that powerful that words could ever describe just how powerful it is to feel something that powerful that loves you that much. And I know how to feel that way myself because I've experienced it. So I know how deep that love is because that deep goes on forever and always. And knows how to love in ways that, like, show me how much you love me. Really love me. You want me to show you how much I love you? Really love you? You mean creatively? I want you to show me just how creatively you can love me, which means it's not just about love, it's how creative you can be to show me that you are running on that much love. And that actually increases the intensity of the fire, which increases the intensity of the creative engine. And I know that because I experienced that myself. And so these are the blessings that I experienced that I share with all of you, because they're gifts. And that's the genius in the cosmos, is that everything is a gift. Because the energy we experience is being gifted to us, so we gift it. Pay it forward. Share it. So that's what we do, huh? Have a good evening. Be good to yourselves. What a night, huh?